Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Flipataku, and today we're talking about Downfall by Inio Asano. This is the latest work by Inio Asano to come stateside, and I want to give a huge shout out to Viz for doing so because this was a really good read. Now, when I went into reading this, I wasn't planning on reading the whole thing. It was really late at night. I was going to read a chapter or two and maybe call it quits, but I ended up reading the entire thing in one sitting because I was gripped from the moment the story started. Now, I am going to dive in. I'm not going to dive into too many spoilers. I'm going to talk about one specific spoiler towards the end of the video, so you are warned. I will give you another warning before I do so. But the basic gist of the story is it follows this manga artist who has just wrapped up a hit series, and he is struggling to meet deadlines to come up with something new. His fans are messaging him on Twitter, "We can't wait to read what's next." His marriage is falling apart. There's some tension between his assistants. And he's dealing with addiction. He's addicted to sex. He is going to prostitutes and cheating on his wife. He has control issues, jealousy issues when it comes to his wife as well. And it's just his life spiraling out of control. Literally a downfall of depression. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail of the story besides the one thing I want to talk about because this is a one-shot. Just like Solanin, I was going to originally review Solanin at one point during my channel, but I found it really difficult to talk about a one-shot. It's always hard for me to review a one-shot because it's so short. And a lot of this is a really fast-paced read. You can finish this in about 40 minutes, maybe 30 if you're a quick reader. A lot of it is just panels. And some of the best art from Inio Asano. My favorite female character he's ever drawn is the girl with the cat-like eyes, which we will talk about spoilers for. And there's a really thick sense of dread in this book. There's a really, and it's like nothing too crazy happens except for a explicit sexual scene at the end. But there's just this, Asano has the way of just making me depressed. After reading this, I was just like, man, I'm really messed up from it. It didn't mess me up quite as bad as Goodnight Poon Poon, but it left me with a really, with a lump in my throat. Now, let's talk about the spoiler I want to talk about because this is one of the most impactful scenes I have ever read in a manga, and it really spoke to me on a personal level. Now, let's talk about the spoiler before I talk about why it impacted me, because if I just say, oh yeah, like if I say what it is, you'll be like, what? So, like I said earlier, he is seeing prostitutes online. He's gone out with a couple of ones that, he's not very attracted to. Then he meets one with cat-like eyes, and he starts to fall in love with her. And he starts seeing her regularly. And she's getting ready to take a break, and he's like, can I go with you? Because she's going to go visit her family. One of her family members is sick, I believe. I think it's her grandmother. And he's like, can I go with you? So he travels with her on train to this place, and they spend like an entire weekend together. And he's like, hey, let's like date, and she's kind of leading him on, kind of flirting with him, and there's a moment where earlier on in the manga, he talks to his friend. He's like, I never thought about kids with my wife. We married pretty much just a mutual agreement. His wife does seem to love him. He doesn't really seem to feel anything towards her except for jealousy and a little bit of resentment. But he says, I've never once thought about having children with my wife. And there's a moment where he's standing on the train platform saying goodbye to this girl. And the train goes by, and it's a panel of a family. And it's not him. And then the next panel, it's him, the girl with the cat-like eyes, and they have 2 kids. He sees himself having children with this woman. He feels this strongly about this woman that he barely knows. And this impacted me because I was in a relationship for a very long time, and it was a very rocky relationship, and I never once, even though we were together for almost a decade, never once thought about having kids with this person, or starting a family, or getting married at all. But the moment I met my now wife, I remember at our first date we were driving, and we drove around for 10 hours on our first date. And I was so nervous, I just lost 130 pounds. I didn't have confidence. I was super shy and kind of timid, but I was putting on a front like I was a tough guy. And I remember taking her home. I said, do you want to go home, or do you want to drive around for a little bit? And she said, let's drive around. And I remember taking a left, and I remember the sun was setting down. She was playing her music, and she was into like classic rock, so I think it was Stairway to Heaven. And I remember just like the scene, just like I have the memory in my mind like a manga panel, just boom, like her hair's blowing in the wind, sun setting, and I saw myself getting married to her and having children, and I knew from the very first date that that was the woman I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And here we are. We are happily married. We have a beautiful 2-year-old daughter, which is crazy. And I couldn't be happier with my life. And I wish this guy got some happiness out of his life, because it's so depressing what he's doing. But a lot of it, most of it, 90% of it is his fault. And that scene in particular, you take away the story and the bad stuff that happens in the story. Like, Asano made me actually choke up when that panel came up, because it was so real and it resonated so well with me. So yeah, I highly recommend this book. This is a fantastic read. This is the best read of 2020 so far, in my opinion. I haven't really been too excited about new stuff coming out. There's been a lot of like stuff that's just not for me. But anytime an Inio Asano work gets announced, I'm gonna snag it, and I'm really glad I did, because this was fantastic. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm Flip Talking. If you're new to the channel, please comment, subscribe, like. I like to chat with people in the comments. So really, let's start a conversation, guys. Let's be friends. And thank you all, and I'll see you guys next time.